Have any of you ever wondered what it would be like if we got a movie about the creation of the Pop-Tart? Me neither. But we did, and I'm going to tell you whether or not you should watch it. What is up, everyone? Unfrosted is a brand new Netflix film written and directed by Jerry Seinfeld. If you're not familiar with it, the synopsis reads, in 1963 Michigan, business rivals Kellogg's and Post compete to create a cake that could change breakfast forever. And if you're new here, what's going to be happening today is I'm going to be giving my spoiler-free review so you can relax, no spoilers, and we're just going to have a bit of a conversation about Unfrosted. But before we dive in, make sure you smash like and hit that subscribe button. I mean, come on guys, follow your nose to a channel that goes snap, crackle, pop. Seriously, if you subscribed, it would be great. I'm sorry about that. That was too much. But this is actually a movie that I've been low-key anticipating quite a bit because we just don't get very many comedies these days, let alone good comedies. And so the time finally came, this movie was released, and now after watching it, I'd say I could sum up my first impression with one word: underwhelmed. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. Let me explain. This movie features a cast made up truly of childhood heroes, fun cameos, you know, big time actors, and then some of my, personally, some of my favorite comedians of all time. There's a bunch of SNL legends that show up if you're a fan of that show and just like the history of it. Even Fred Armisen popped up and made a cameo. And with all that being said, yes, there are plenty of laughable moments, but when you have a cast like that, you have all of these funny people coming together, I just feel like it could have been funnier. The movie, written and directed by comedians, starring mainly comedians, it just wasn't as funny as I was hoping for. And it's just made me wonder now, what was the goal, you know? I mean, maybe Jerry Seinfeld truly just set out to make a family-friendly movie about the creation of the Pop-Tart. And that's fine. Jerry's style has always been family-friendly, and I'll never be against that. But family-friendly, to me, is different than family funny. Dumb and Dumber was family funny. What About Bob is family funny. This is family friendly. I think a lot of people will find themselves enjoying this movie, and an older crowd will especially love it for the nostalgia bait in there. There are a lot of little funny lines snuck into this script, like Jim Gaffigan's looking at a newspaper and he's like, hey, Vietnam, that seems awesome, huh? There is subtlety layered throughout this movie, just like a Pop-Tart with that fruit-filled center that I can certainly appreciate, and you can tell that Jerry just loves this project and has a big passion for it. I'm just not sure that it's gonna land with a modern audience and modern critics. I especially don't think it's gonna land for a younger audience. You have these Walter Cronkite jokes and JFK jokes. I feel like a lot of that stuff's just gonna go right over a lot of the people that are watching this movie's head. But back to family friendly, it is a very pleasant ride. They were able to create this really unique fantasy cereal town in the 60s where the breakfast game is everything and all the characters are recognizable faces and voices, from Frosted Flakes and Tony the Tiger to Quaker Oats and even Rice Krispies. I think it's honestly really aesthetically pleasing to look at. It reminded me maybe of Cat in the Hat or The Grinch, a little bit of Dr. Seuss, but you mix that with Wonka. There's a chocolate cartel, you know, with this breakfast cereal thing going on. Wonka minus the musical, I guess. And although the story isn't the most compelling thing and the script isn't that funny at times, you can tell everybody that was involved was having a blast and everybody's giving 110%. I was curious going in though just about Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld, if you're not familiar with him or if you've never seen Seinfeld, there's so much Seinfeld to watch, but when Jerry's on camera, it always looks like he's kind of in on the gag. He's always kind of half smiling or he's about to laugh. It always kind of looks like he's about to break. And that really works in a sitcom with a laugh track, and I was curious how it was going to transfer to a film atmosphere, and I don't know, it kind of felt disjointed at times, and maybe it's just because I was raised on Seinfeld. I've seen so much Seinfeld that I'm just picturing Jerry Seinfeld kind of playing to the audience in this movie when he's supposed to be playing this character, you know? But again, his passion shines through because of one thing: Pop-Tarts. And by telling the story of Pop-Tarts, he was able to highlight some of the most ridiculous things people have been subjected to in their food, but in a funny, light-hearted way. High fructose corn syrup, for instance, or comments like, it doesn't need to be healthy, it just needs to be delicious. Because not to get real here for a second, but that's truly the story of American food. And somehow I left this comedy, this funny movie, a little bit sad because of that. It's also ironic to me, and this is something I found out a couple years ago, and if you're somebody watching in the EU, you already know this, but Pop-Tarts are partially banned in the EU. Because let's see here, they contain dyes like yellow number 5, yellow number 6, and red number 40. And so here is this American movie celebrating the creation of this thing that has been proven to have ingredients that have had adverse effects on children. Like, what the hell, dude? But that's America. And who am I kidding? I freaking love Pop-Tarts. I grew up eating Pop-Tarts all the time, and nobody knew that these things were bad for us. Why would they be giving us these things that are bad for us? And here I am, I'm a healthy dude, like I turned out just fine. You know, it's a charming story about a staple that circulated breakfast tables across this country. And it made me do a little bit of digging, because I genuinely was curious after this movie about the creation of Pop-Tarts. It was actually a really, really big deal. The even bigger deal to me, this is what I found most interesting, was in 1967 when they figured out how to make frosting that could withstand the toaster. That to me, I mean, maybe they should just make like Unfrosted 2, like the sequel, cracking the frosting or something like that. Because that feels like one of those moments in the lab or whatever these guys are doing where it's like, oh my gosh, dude, like the frosting didn't melt. I don't know, but you know, there's just a lot going on with this movie. It's a lot of fun. It has heart, it has humor, and you know, are you gonna wet your pants cracking up? Probably not, but is it going to be an enjoyable experience? Yes. I highly suggest at least giving it a shot. It's on Netflix. I mean, it's as easy as can be. You don't even have to go to the theater for it. And if you're having a bad day, maybe Jerry Seinfeld can cheer you up. But as always, I want to give my Jones Vibes star rating. This is based purely off of my enjoyment level. And my friends, I'm giving Unfrosted 3 out of 5 stars, no doubt. But if you saw Unfrosted, please go down to the comments right now and let me know what you thought about this movie. Do you agree with any of the talking points that I had here, or just kind of like my assessment of this movie? Do you disagree? Please don't hesitate to leave all that down below. I read every single comment that comes in, and guys, I really appreciate it. But also, before you leave, make sure you smash like, click on another video on your way out. You can reach out to me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and don't forget to keep up the good vibes, guys. But that was Unfrosted, a Pop-Tart will rise.